Hi, good afternoon and welcome to the first edition of the Global Leadership Lab webinar series for the month of December. I'm Yunus Chaudhry, your host and awesome training manager. The focus of this webinar is the use of technology for change and international development. And our presenter for today is Karuna Dayal, who is a Class 14 Atlas IV Fellow from India, serving as a policy fellow at CARE in Washington, D.C. Karuna has extensive experience in policy, advocacy, and good governance projects. At CARE, she is engaged in supporting research and analysis around implementation of donor and government policies, addressing early forced marriages in Bangladesh and Nepal, and contributing to the development of an advocacy strategy to influence key stakeholders at global and national level. She also holds a volunteer position as the Director of South Asia region for the Nexus Working Group on Human Trafficking and Slavery. On behalf of the Atlas IV community, I welcome you, Karuna, and thank you for volunteering your time and expertise with us today. Before I hand it over to you guys, I'm going to share some general instructions for our viewers. Please remember to fill out the webinar feedback form once you have viewed the live or the recorded version of the webinar. Our speaker will present for the first 15 or so minutes, and the remaining time will be allocated for Q&A. Please post your questions by clicking on the Q&A tab on the broadcast page. If time runs out or you are viewing the webinar at a later time, please connect with the speaker offline so that your questions can be addressed. And with that, I hand it over to you, Karuna.
Hi, thanks, Yunus. Thank you very much. And good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for joining today's webinar. So as Yunus just introduced to you, that today's webinar is focusing on technology for social impact and development. So I would like to start with talking about how the Big Bang Theory started altogether. So there was a massive boom in the 1990s, as you know, about the internet and people getting to know how technology works, and the computer technology around the globe was getting massively exploited in the hands of those who knew it and who introduced it to the world. There have been a lot of changes down the line since the 20th century to the 21st century, and the Big Bang Theory has still remained the same, but has taken different forms and has advanced into new forms of media that we call the social media, and also has taken new roles in terms of development. And in the international development scenario, it's becoming very popular and has its own niche. I'm going to talk about the communication strategies around the world and how internet, broke open our mindsets and changed our purview about and our perspectives about how people are using internet and using the electronic networking revolution for our work on a day-to-day basis. So as you see that, there has been a large international community that is usually seen online and is regularly using the internet on their phones, on their laptops, on their computers. Well, there are so many examples that we all are going through, but I'd like to touch upon a few of those examples. Like, we are carrying our phones all the time, and we are using so many applications. We are just a Skype call away. We are just a minute away in launching new projects online, and it just happens so smoothly that we can wonder how internet and technology has changed our lives and has added so much to the development of the kind of work we are doing for social change. Well, specifically talking about revolutionized electronic networking. In the recent past, a lot of us have been reading about or attending a lot of conferences which are primarily focusing on social good through social media and how technology can, hold impacts around the world on the kind of development projects we are continuing to hold. On social justice and social change. A very good example of that is the Social Good Summit, and also the Nexus Summit, which was looking at impact investments on technology the Social Good Summit focused on a lot of work that is being carried out on social media, and how small entrepreneurial projects are creating long-standing impacts. I'm going to talk a little about social media and the kind of networks we've been using. As you see on the screen right now, you have these large circles talking about LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. These are the most prominent, social media examples or tools that we've been using in the recent past, and they have taken over the world really. So as you see that the world population is increasingly becoming younger, and we are the youngest population right now using social media for development. A lot of impact projects are focused commonly on social media platforms, and a lot to do with Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. People are creating Facebook pages to create events and have a campaign on Facebook. They are also communicating very professionally in LinkedIn, which is a professional networking website and is specifically used for sharing ideologies and articles on viewpoints for international development and social causes. Twitter, on the other hand, is a very small, microcosm, but because it uses just a few characters, and you can imagine how and what kind of change it is creating. We are using hashtags. We never knew about hashtags, how hashtags could make such a huge impact on our lives. We know that the U.S. Senators are now using the hashtags. For example, and not just the U.S. senators, we have politicians and social activists and a lot of individuals commonly using hashtags on Twitter, spreading around awareness on the projects they are working on. More than 43% of the world's population, which is the young population, is right now, creating groups and are very, very impatient about, changing the world. And for this generation, as we know that we are included in this generation, and we know that there is so much of, the larger platform that we are trying to change, and we're trying to concentrate on projects that are very impactful. They look at the political ideologies, they look at the social impacts that a project would create or would have response to from the larger public. I would like to emphasize on this the young population that I was talking about, who are using these platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and others. A global survey which was recently published called the Millennials, the Challenger Generation by Harvard Worldwide. It is a future-focused global ideas agency which has referred that 70% of young people believe that social media is a force of change, and for change. And there's a larger analysis that this survey has done about how the 70% of young people use social media on a day-to-day basis, and how they are creating long-lasting impacts, on humanity, specifically on humanitarian aid projects that people are handling across the world. We've seen a lot of crisis around the world, which is continuing to happen, and social media has been very proactive about creating that knowledge, and reaching out to the other media, that is the press media, visual media, and social media has been referred to as one of the very, very strong impacting tools for development. So how has been technology changing our lives? Well, I'd like to give a few examples out here, and as I go further, I'll be just picking up a couple of international projects which have been created and blown out into national movements around the world. There have been companies like change.org who are publishing and petitioning around the world, sitting on the web, creating applications for people, and reaching out to people through normal causes. And there was this campaign launched in Asia, which was called the Pink Panties campaign. If nobody has heard about it or have heard about it, it was actually for women going to drink alcohol in public bars in India, and this was a massive movement, where women were being exploited on going to bars in the late night. And the Pink Panties campaign just went boom on the Facebook sometime back, and it created a whole storm about why women are being exploited. Why are is it a new ideology that a certain group of people are creating against women? So nobody knew about it, that why this kind of exploitation is happening on the ground. And it's a group of modern females who are empowered enough, and they have the decision-making power of what they are doing in their lives or in their personal lives. And why would somebody want to intervene in that scope or scenario of their lives? So Pink Panties campaign was very revolutionary in Asia, and it created a lot of revolution.
Just wanted to let you know, I think your screen share is turned off in case you are using the slide deck, so just wanted to let you know in case you want us to put that back on. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, Eunice, can you not hear me?
No, I'm saying your screen is, if you're running the PowerPoint presentation, your screen is not currently being displayed.
I see, okay. Okay, just a moment. Is it fine?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that, everyone. So I would like to continue on sharing further examples, and because this webinar is more about sharing examples and how social changes happen due to technology, there has been a lot of development in the past few years, and a major example has been on fighting corruption in countries where there have been countries and there have been youth groups who have been trying to create social forums online by the help of social media. There was, for example, there was a group of 250 young people who met at the third Global Youth Anti-Corruption Forum last year, and they spoke about how social media could play a significant role in fighting global, corruption. And this group of youth, they have been raising their voices on the social media and spreading awareness about why and corruption has been tampering down development in their countries. The countries that they were from were Paraguay and Brazil, and they were using Facebook and Twitter to make official data available publicly to inform and mobilize their peers about transparency and how governance should be working in their countries. I would also like to add another example about one of the Atlas Core fellows, Mr. Narayan, was working with the Accountability Initiative, and he's been he was talking to me once about how they are using the Global Impact Hub as a part of the anti-corruption campaign that they are running worldwide. So there are spaces, there are places in the world where people and young groups especially, they are trying to create forums and fighting corruption. That has been a major a change initiative, I would say, on the social media. The other one is about evaluating public schools in the Philippines, wherein students in the Philippines were using social media, and specifically Facebook and Twitter, because of the kind of platform they give for sharing information freely. They were commenting about their schools and informing the public about what kind of problems they were facing in the school. most of these young people in the Philippines are mostly online, and it was believed that the interactive websites that they were using were really making an impact on how they were wanting to change their school. They created the interactive website called checkmyschool.org, or if you want to take a look at that, which has a lot of forums, which has a part of question and answers section where they keep posting problems related to the school. And this made it really easy for them to evaluate their schools and how they are progressing. And uh, so projects like these have the potential, and the way they are being implemented in various parts of the world. There is also a video about checkmyschool.org on YouTube. I would like to share the link for that later. But if you go on the website of checkmyschool.org, you'll be able to watch the videos about how they changed the school and how they were addressing to the problems. There's another, this is one example that is very close to my heart. This was a very positive impact, and on the people in India. And this term that I'm using is called swarming, which is a real-time collaboration of a large number of people using online platforms such as Twitter. While I'm talking about Twitter and Facebook, a lot of us use it to tweet about whatever is happening and whatever we are very, very, close to about, creating impacts about. So we are constantly posting Twitter feeds and constantly posting on Facebook about, creating a revolution and creating that awareness platform for people to interact with us and join us in taking it further and making some changes. There was this Mumbai terror attack some time back, and a couple of years back, and there was this one person who took the initiative on Twitter to create awareness for people whose families were missing, whose families were injured, and they were panicking around the city during the bomb attacks, and they couldn't find the right kind of communication channels to reach out to the medical services or the police lines, the telephone lines. So this individual created a kind of a forum or a chat and used the hashtags for Mumbai terror attack victims and their families who wanted to connect, and brought together a kind of a connection between all the people who were trying to find ways and means to reach out to their families and friends who were lost somewhere or were confused about how to approach the immediate services. So this actually led to having the mainstream media write a lot of good articles about it, and how Twitter, a simple awareness campaign on Twitter on the Mumbai terror attacks could create a massive explosion, between the community online. And there was also an incident where this individual who was supporting people through Twitter created an Excel sheet by sharing numbers and contact details of people who were missing, or also, putting on contact information about the immediate hospitals or medical services close to people who were not being able to reach through these rescue services. I'd also like to share a couple of indispensable tactics that have been able, to have major impacts on social change through social media and technology. The first tactic is to mobilize people. That's a very basic thing, wherein I'd again like to give this example of the Pink Panties campaign in India, which was used, by a lot of women who were voicing out their concerns about why can't they be outside their homes after work, and why are they getting exploited. So there was a lot of social activism around it online, and this was a 3-day campaign, which was launched during those 3 days when it had really started off. There were 16,000 followers within those 3 days when it was launched on Facebook, and within just a few months, it was 50,000 a support system that was created through this campaign for people generating responses and writing articles and writing op-eds and writing comments, on the campaign page and spreading awareness about it. Second is witness and record. So it doesn't mean that one has to have a very swanky phone or a swanky laptop or a computer to be online on, or use the technology for making a social impact. There have been really smaller and cheaper things that have been as tools which have been able to help us make an impact on a smaller scale or a larger scale. Things like recording devices, for example, have been only one of the select few things which have been very revolutionary in telling stories. And stories really form a great social impact, as we know, in the development field when it comes to using technology, and a really potential weapon to broadcast what people see, and they report about. Witness, record, and broadcast are the few tools that can expose, as a tactic. Targeted sniper that I have mentioned in this slide is the term that was titled as a film on police officers in Morocco taking bribes, which is one of the examples which shows that how police officers in Morocco were taking bribes from motorists, and people created videos and posted them on the social media and made a film out of it and posted it on YouTube to show how it is happening. This was a very good example indeed to curb such kind of corruption, and I think Morocco has been really been able to kind of work through it. So a lot of people who are using Facebook, had this video in their hands, and they were watching it and learning about it, and so finally, it reached out to the government, which led to the arrest of the corrupt agents and the officers. And this adopted the same, method in which people were controlling the police activity. So it was quite advantageous for the common public. And as a witness and record tool, this really worked well for Morocco. The third tactic is visualize your message, which is really important. I like to cite 350.org out here, and they have been doing a lot of work around animated videos on climate change, basically. And the video, one of the videos on climate change, which I have cited here, it was viewed by 100,000 times on YouTube. Which is more so a larger number of views, which had no words or strong visuals, but which had a lot of emotion through animation, and it visualized a message that left a lot of strong impact on people's minds. I'd also like to, apart from 350.org, give an example about the next tactic, which is about amplifying personal stories. We know that one of the Atlas Core alumni, Virginia Campo from Colombia, was working on a campaign, a worldwide campaign actually, which was called Girl Rise-a-thon. I was quite motivated by it, and I was one of the people attending her campaign here in DC. And this campaign was about screening the Girl Rising documentary which had a couple of stories about how female empowerment can lead to changing girls' lives around the world, or women's lives around the world. This campaign was launched in 12 countries and led by 12 women entrepreneurs, featuring work of 12 grassroots organizations. This was very, it left a really strong uh, impact on people around the world, and women and men were engaging and talking about why girls should rise in their own countries, and how people can amplify on such personal stories around the world. And it all happened through social media. So they were using Google Hangouts, they were using Skype calls, they were using different kinds of media, probably having meetings in universities and other, technology hubs, and creating such impact. The other tactic is about adding humor, which really helps, I would say. An example of this is about a Belarusian president, Viktor Yushchenko, who must have wished that he had never criticized the internet about having info activists, creating a clone of him on YouTube, which was called LuTube, and he was openly criticizing the internet about it, and this really satirized the president and his views. And as I read the article about him, he was actually pressurized to change that point of view about internet, and how it is using a lot of stories and a lot of real-time stories to help people. So adding a bit of humor, as a tactic also can help in holding people who are in power to be accountable and attract a wider audience. The last is using collective intelligence. The example that I gave earlier about how the Mumbai terror attacks in India used Twitter as one tool for spreading around, spreading the ideas around, and about what was going on, and how things can be done impactfully and really approachably, in minutes or in seconds through the internet technology. I'm at the end of my presentation, so I'd like to discuss about how these kind of examples have inspired you, and if you know about any of the youth-led projects that have made impact in your society or in your country, or if you have made any such impacts through the social media and internet technology, I'd like to discuss that with you, or if you have any questions for me. Thank you very much for listening.
All right, so if you have questions for Karuna, please be sure to post them by clicking on the Q&A tab so that she can see them and address your questions. Thanks. All right, I think since there aren't any sort of specific questions from the fellows right now who are watching it, what sort of advice do you have for somebody who's trying to sort of take on, let's say, a movement, for instance, in light of like the current events that are happening, and let's say what happened in Peshawar recently, in Pakistan, for instance? How would you create a campaign around that, and what, very briefly, like comment on what in your opinion as an expert studying this, would be the best sort of strategy to sort of move forward and create more awareness?
Right. As I heard you correctly about you're talking about the Peshawar incident, right, Yunus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's very sad. To know about how things have been limited for students in Peshawar, and the way they have been terrorized by the recent attack. Just to spread awareness, I would say that the way we are using technology, we actually need to talk about how children are being being taken as targets at that kind of impressionable age, and we need to talk more about it, write about it, and engage in discussions online, because a lot of population is online right now reading about the recent news, and they have been writing articles. So I think it gives us a really good time to discuss on what can be done for such children in conflict-stricken areas. And there's so many things that many countries have, and a lot of international professionals working with us are working on. So yeah, I think I'm getting a couple of questions here. Hi, thank you, Trina and Prem. I would read your questions. What are the limitations of technology in driving social change? Of course, yeah, a lot of challenges indeed, which which would be kept in mind about how we are treating technology for creating social impact. But there are also spaces, which are outside of technology, where we need to connect with people in person, and where technology would not play a very positive role. Now, I would say that because we are very strong on using social media right now, we are also making sure, on the other hand, that we are connecting with people through social media and having the right kind of positive discussions to come out to solutions on creating new innovation technology or innovative technology, and working on development projects per se. The other question is from Prem, which is saying, we are talking about impact of social media, but there is 65+% in rural area have limited, sorry about reading that incorrectly, have limitation of literacy and technology. What is the best strategy for that? For rural-based projects, Prem, I believe that there are a lot of non-profit organizations who are introducing new means of technology in rural areas as well. A lot of non-profits, which I have also worked with, and a lot of us are working on, use the radio programming, which has been a great tool to voice out, or launch awareness campaigns about literacy, on education. So there are ways and means of having to use mobile technology as well in the rural areas, wherein we see that most of the rural population is also using mobile technology and radio. So that is another way of reaching out to them.
All right, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you, Karuna, so much for joining us. If people have any additional questions for Karuna, I invite you to sort of email her at karuna.dayal@atlascore.org, so you can follow up and keep this conversation going, especially for the fellows who will be watching this remotely. So feel free to reach out to her and perhaps post your comments on this thread or on the event page as well, so that we have this continuity. And yeah, on behalf of the Atlas Core community, I thank you, Karuna, and I also want to thank the fellows and alumni who took the time out of the day to join. And don't forget to fill out the feedback form for this webinar. This is Yunus Chaudhary, your manager, speaking out.
Thank you very much.